In the crowded spaceport of New Terra, where humans and aliens mingled freely, the air buzzed with the sounds of commerce and conversation. The hum of hovercrafts and the chatter of various species filled the large open space. Among the throngs of travelers and traders, one figure stood out, a woman from the distant planet of Zaltria. Her clothes were tattered, and her eyes were tired but hopeful. This was the poor alien woman, known simply as Mira. Mira had wandered through the spaceport for days, her heart heavy with worry. Her once bright clothes were now faded and worn, and her pleas for help had mostly gone unheard. As she moved through the bustling crowd, her eyes searched for someone who might listen, someone who could offer a glimmer of hope. She was nearly out of options, and her desperation grew with each passing hour. Then her gaze landed on a tall human man standing near a shimmering display of interstellar goods. He wore a crisp, expensive suit and carried himself with an air of confidence. Mira took a deep breath and approached him, her heart pounding in her chest. This man looked different from the others. He seemed successful, someone who might be able to help. "Excuse me, sir?" Mira began, her voice trembling slightly. The man turned, his expression shifting from mild curiosity to slight annoyance. He was not used to being interrupted, especially by someone who looked so out of place. "What do you want?" he asked, his tone brisk but not unkind. Mira's hands shook as she fidgeted with the edges of her worn-out shawl. "Please, I'm in desperate need of help. My name is Mira. I've lost everything, my home, my family. I need assistance." The human man, whose name was Alex, raised an eyebrow. He had seen many beggars and pleas before, and his initial reaction was one of skepticism. "Why should I help you? There are many people here in need." Mira's eyes welled up with tears. "I know, but I'm different. I don't have anywhere else to go. Please just listen to my story." Alex studied her for a moment, noting the genuine desperation in her eyes. He sighed, his demeanor softening. "All right, let's hear it." Mira took a deep breath and began to speak. She told Alex about her life on Zaltria, a planet far from New Terra. Once she had lived comfortably, working as a skilled artisan. But then, a catastrophic event had struck her planet, leaving her homeless and fleeing to New Terra in search of safety and a fresh start. "I came here hoping to find a new life," she said, her voice quivering. "But everything has been so difficult. I don't know where to turn. I've heard that humans sometimes marry aliens, and I thought, maybe you could help me. Maybe you could marry me." Alex was taken aback by her unexpected request. He had never considered such a thing before. His mind raced with questions and doubts. "Marry you? Why would I do that?" Mira lowered her gaze, feeling the weight of her predicament. "I know it sounds strange, but it's not just about marriage. It's about finding someone who can give me a chance to rebuild my life. I'm not asking for charity, I'm asking for a chance." Alex was silent for a moment, considering her words. He could see that Mira was not just another beggar, but someone with a story and a plea that went beyond simple charity. He had a choice to make, one that would not only affect his own life, but also Mira's. "All right," Alex said finally, his tone softer. "I'll listen. But this is not going to be easy. Let's sit down and talk more about this." Mira looked up, a glimmer of hope returning to her eyes. "Thank you," she said, her voice filled with relief. As they moved to a quieter corner of the spaceport, the bustling crowd around them seemed to fade away. For the first time in days, Mira felt a small spark of hope, and Alex found himself curious about the woman who had dared to ask for such an unusual favor. In the quiet corner of the spaceport, Alex and Mira sat across from each other at a small table. The noise of the bustling crowd seemed distant now, replaced by the softer sounds of their conversation. Alex, who had agreed to listen, looked at Mira with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Mira, feeling a bit more at ease, took a deep breath before continuing her story. "I know it's strange to ask for this," Mira began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "But I hope you'll understand once I explain." Alex nodded, encouraging her to go on. He was prepared to hear a story, but he wasn't sure what to expect. Mira's eyes grew distant as she recalled her past. "I was born on Zaltria, a planet far from here. It was a beautiful place, full of color and life. I lived with my family in a small, comfortable home. I was an artisan, creating beautiful crafts that were valued by many." She paused, her gaze falling to her hands, which were now rough and worn. But everything changed. A terrible disaster struck our planet. An unexpected storm caused massive destruction, leaving many of us without homes. My family was lost in the chaos. I managed to escape, but I had to leave everything behind. Alex listened intently, his expression softening. He could see the pain in Mira's eyes and the weariness in her voice. I came to New Terra hoping to start anew, but things have been incredibly difficult. I've tried to find work and a place to stay, but it's not easy when you're alone and far from home. Mira looked up at Alex, her eyes brimming with tears. I've heard that sometimes humans and aliens marry, and it's not just about love or companionship. It can be a way to help each other. I thought, maybe if someone like you could marry me, it would give me a chance to rebuild my life. I'm not asking for charity. I'm asking for a chance to have a future. Alex was taken aback. The idea of marriage as a solution to someone's problems was foreign to him. He had never considered it before. Marry you? I mean, I don't know you. And this is... Well, it's a lot to ask. Mira's voice grew softer as she tried to explain. I understand it's a big request. But think about it this way. It's not just about helping me. It's about offering a chance for both of us. I'm willing to learn about your culture and adapt. I just need a chance to prove that I can contribute and build a new life. Alex felt a pang of sympathy. Mira's plea was heartfelt and sincere. He saw the desperation in her eyes and the hope that had been reignited by his willingness to listen. He also understood the weight of her request. This is a lot to consider, Alex said, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. I need to think about it more. It's not just about what you need, it's also about what this means for both of us. But I do see that you're in a tough spot, and I appreciate you sharing your story with me. Mira nodded, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and fear. Thank you for listening. I know it's a lot to ask, and I don't expect an answer right away. I just wanted you to know my situation and what I'm asking for. Alex stood up, feeling the weight of the decision he was facing. I'll think about it. I promise to give it serious consideration. And in the meantime, if there's anything else I can do to help you right now, just let me know. Mira's heart lifted slightly at his words. Thank you. I appreciate it more than you know. As Alex walked away, Mira remained at the table, feeling a small spark of hope in her chest. She had taken a bold step, and while the outcome was uncertain, she felt a glimmer of possibility for the first time in a long while. Over the next few days, Alex couldn't get Mira out of his mind. Her plea had touched him in a way he hadn't expected. He found himself wondering about her situation, her courage, and the desperation that had led her to ask a stranger for such a huge favor. Despite his busy schedule, he decided to visit the spaceport again, hoping to find her. When he arrived, he saw Mira sitting in the same corner where they had first spoken. She looked up and smiled faintly when she saw him, a mixture of surprise and relief in her eyes. You came back, Mira said softly, her voice filled with gratitude. Alex nodded, sitting down across from her. I told you I'd think about what you asked. But before I make any decisions, I want to know more about you. I want to understand who you are and what you've been through. Mira's expression softened as she realized he was genuinely interested in her story. I appreciate that. I want you to know the real me, not just the desperate woman who asked for help. Over the course of several hours, they talked. Mira shared more details about her life on Zaltria, painting a picture of a once thriving world now struggling to recover from the disaster. She spoke about her family, her childhood, and the crafts she used to make with her hands. Her voice was filled with longing as she described the vibrant colors and textures of her home planet, and Alex could see how much she missed it. In return, Alex opened up about his own life. He talked about his work on New Terra, his travels to different planets, and the challenges he had faced as a human living among so many different species. He admitted that his life had often been lonely, despite his success. The more they talked, the more they realized how much they had in common. Two people from different worlds, both searching for something more meaningful in their lives. As the days passed, Alex found himself spending more and more time with Mira. They explored the spaceport together, sharing meals and laughter. Mira's knowledge of alien cultures fascinated Alex, and he was impressed by her resilience and strength. She, in turn, was touched by his kindness and willingness to listen. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Alex began to see Mira not just as an alien in need, but as a person with dreams, hopes, and a unique perspective on life. He admired her determination to rebuild her life despite the overwhelming odds. One evening, as they sat together under the artificial sky of the spaceport, Mira turned to Alex with a serious expression. "You've done so much for me already just by being here and listening. I don't want to pressure you into anything. If you decide that marriage isn't the right choice, I'll understand." Alex looked at her, his heart heavy with the weight of the decision he knew he had to make. "Mira, when you first asked me to marry you, I was shocked. I didn't understand how someone could ask for something so big from a stranger. But now, after spending time with you, I see things differently." Mira's eyes searched his, filled with both hope and fear. "What do you see?" "I see a brave, kind, and intelligent woman who deserves a chance at a better life," Alex said, his voice firm but gentle. "And I see that maybe, just maybe, I'm the one who can help you get that chance. But more than that, I see the possibility of a real connection between us, something that could grow into something special." Mira's breath caught in her throat as she listened to his words. "Are you saying—" Alex nodded slowly, a small smile on his lips. "I'm saying that I'm willing to consider your proposal, not just as a way to help you, but as something that could benefit us both. But I want us to take it slow, to keep building this connection and see where it leads." Mira's eyes filled with tears of gratitude and relief. "Thank you, Alex. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm so grateful that you're willing to give us a chance." As they sat together, the artificial stars twinkling above them, both Alex and Mira felt a sense of hope for the future. A future that, against all odds, they might be able to build together. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between Alex and Mira continued to grow. They spent nearly every day together, learning more about each other's worlds, dreams, and fears. What had started as a desperate plea from a lonely alien woman had transformed into something much deeper, a genuine connection that neither of them had expected. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Alex found himself thinking about Mira more than usual. As he sat alone in his small apartment, the quiet hum of the city outside, he realized that his feelings for her had grown far beyond mere sympathy or friendship. He couldn't deny it any longer. He cared for Mira in a way that was new and surprising. But the question lingered. Could he truly commit to her, as she had asked? Marriage was a serious step, one that could change both their lives forever. Alex knew he needed to be sure, not just for his sake, but for Mira's as well. The next day, Alex invited Mira to a quiet spot in the park near the spaceport. She wore a traditional Zoltrian dress, made of shimmering fabric that caught the light with every movement. The dress was a gift from an old friend she had found among the other Zoltrian refugees on New Terra. It was the first time in a long while that she felt truly beautiful. But more than that, she felt hopeful. Alex, standing beside her, couldn't take his eyes off Mira. She looked radiant, a vision of grace and strength. His heart swelled with affection as he reached out to take her hand. The simple act of holding her hand felt symbolic, a connection that had grown stronger with every conversation, every shared moment, and every step they had taken together. The officiant, a kind human who had married many interspecies couples, began the ceremony. He spoke of the importance of love, understanding, and commitment, values that transcended species and cultures. As he spoke, Mira and Alex exchanged glances, their hearts filled with the enormity of the moment. When it came time to exchange vows, Alex went first. He looked deeply into Mira's eyes, speaking from the heart. "Mira, when I first met you, I never imagined we'd be here today. But as I got to know you, I realized that what I felt wasn't just sympathy. It was something much deeper. I admire your courage, your resilience, and your kindness. I promise to stand by you, to support you, and to build a life with you, no matter what challenges we face." Mira's eyes shimmered with tears, her heart overflowing with emotion. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath and spoke softly, but with conviction. "Alex, you've given me more than I ever dared to hope for. You saw me when I felt invisible, and you offered me not just help, but a future. I promise to be there for you, to share my culture with you, and to learn from yours. Together, I believe we can create something beautiful, something that reflects the best of both our worlds." The crowd watched in silence as the couple exchanged rings, a human tradition that Mira had embraced as a symbol of their union. The rings were simple but meaningful, crafted from a metal that was found on both Earth and Zoltria, symbolizing the blending of their lives and cultures. As the officiant pronounced them married, a cheer rose from the crowd. Alex and Mira turned to each other, smiles breaking across their faces. They were no longer two individuals from different worlds. They were partners, ready to face the future together. In the days that followed, Alex and Mira began to build their new life. They found a small apartment in the city, close to the spaceport where they had first met. The apartment was modest, but it was theirs, filled with a mix of human and Zoltrian decorations that reflected their shared life. Mira set up a small workshop in one corner, returning to her passion for crafting. Alex helped her find supplies, learning more about her art and her culture in the process. Their relationship was not without challenges. There were moments of misunderstanding, times when their different backgrounds caused friction, but each time they came back to the promises they had made, choosing to work through the difficulties together. As the months passed, Alex and Mira became known as a symbol of unity and hope. Their marriage was a reminder that love could bridge even the widest gaps, that two people from different worlds could come together to create something new and lasting. And so, their new beginning was not just the start of a marriage, but the start of a journey, one filled with love, learning, and the belief that together they could face whatever the future held.